Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. If you tuned in yesterday, you got to hear the remarkable testimony of Stacy Gagnon. She is with us again this morning, along with Marlon Miller from JPV Press. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Susie.
And Stacy, we were getting to meet your family. For anyone who was not with us yesterday, a remarkable family of adopting children with special needs, children who are considered medically fragile. And Stacey, you seem to be uniquely qualified for doing this, although you keep saying, I can't. But, you know, obviously this is a unique calling that the Lord has placed on your heart. And how amazing, because it's got to happen as a couple. You and your husband certainly have got to be a team in this. I can't imagine the conversations that you have sometimes over the dinner table and with your other children as you express just an amazing kind of love for children who have unique and very, very special needs. And first of all, you're the kind of person that the rest of us kind of sit around and go, wow, what am I doing with my life? You know, and just the fact that you say that, okay, yeah, this is going to ruin my life in just all the best ways. So we got to meet, in a way of you describing them, all of your children yesterday. So a lot of times people then they get on with family life, but you said, hey, gang, let's write a book. So tell me how you help me to connect the dots there. How did you get from point A to point B with, let's all write a book together. Let's do Cowboy Joel and the Wild, Wild West. Tell me about it.
Well, interestingly, when Marlon and Lisa first approached me, it was to write a book from my blog. I write a blog called Ransom for Israel, and it was receiving a lot of traffic. And so I had also written a viral post about a year prior to that about Joel in an event that happened at church where he was pointed at and stared at by other children. And just how as a mother it really broke my heart, because in that moment I'm so used to teaching kids about differences that in that moment I ended up just taking my son out of the church group and sitting with him. And so we ended up on the Today Show and some other different media outlets talking about differences and working with children and understanding how to helping parents understand how to teach our kids about compassion.
Yes.
And
I think back of that Greg Kinnear movie. Were you the inspiration for that?
For which movie?
There was a Greg Kinnear movie, and the title of it is not coming to me right now, but it seemed to be a child with a very similar situation. And maybe Marlon will look that up for me. He's writing it down. Oh, yeah.
I believe Wonder.
Say it out loud. Who was it? What was it called?
I believe Wonder was the name of the movie. And
Thank you.
No,
That's
it was not, but we really liked that movie a lot. I thought they did a really great job. And so, you know, looking at Wonder, and I used Wonder in my classroom teaching kids, we recognize that Wonder is a very effective and amazing tool for teaching especially older children about differences. What we were hoping was to put out a book that we can start, because we want to teach our children young and be intentional in what we're teaching. And so part of when that post went viral is it ended up with being a hashtag Joel's Friends.
Wow.
Because what I had said in the post was we have to show our children people that are different, or when you go into town and your child sees someone that's different, they're going to point and stare or say something. So if we're intentional about like, hey, you know, look, I just saw this, you know, this is a difference, and there's that child is the same on the inside as you. Like when you're teaching your kids differences, then it's not a big deal. And so because kids are naturally curious, and they want to know, like, oh, what happened? Or, oh, why is he different? We can help them to not be hurting another child's feelings if we prepare them for the things they see. And so that was what I had asked in the post. And what was amazing was thousands of people were posting their children saying, hashtag Joel's Friends. My son is, you know, this is my son, and he has this, and he loves these things. Because that was the whole idea, was that just because you externally look different doesn't mean you're not a child just like all other kids in the world on the inside. And so that was so when Marlon and Lisa talked to me about doing a book, it felt super overwhelming to do a full book, but I knew we had a message for kids. And we talked with our children about it, and they were super excited about doing some type of a book as a family.
Is the blog still active? Can people still find you
Yeah.
and follow you and everything? And is it just Jules Friends? Is that what we look for?
No, the blog is Ransom for Israel.
Ransom for Israel.
And it started out as just my journaling, the process of adoption to get Israel home. And then it grew. I mean, it was up to I'd have 20 to 30,000 visitors a day.
Wow.
So it's a pretty popular blog. I talk a lot about trauma and foster care and understanding children and understanding brain development. My husband and I teach a lot on how the brain is changed and altered by early childhood experiences. And so that's kind of what the blog kind of morphed into.
So people can follow that. And again, I want to say that's Ransom for Israel and .com. Just follow that. And how often do you blog? You've got 9 children. How do you?
It's slowed down a little bit in the last month just because of the 2 new foster babies. They're little. And so they take a little bit more time. But, it's a way for me to vent, late at night. And not vent, but just to express feelings and emotions.
Obviously, Stacy, you've hit a nerve in a lot of people's homes and a lot of families. There's something, you've been called to a very, very special ministry here that is really meeting a need when you have that many people checking out. Did you say 30,000 a day? People were finding that and reading it?
Yeah. And I mean, that was when it was super popular. Now, because I'm not writing every single week, it's come down in numbers. But
still, you've found something. This is really, it's an issue that needs to be addressed, and people are waking up to it. Yes?
Absolutely. And, again, it's a smattering of topics, and a lot of it is surrounding special needs, adoption, trauma, understanding adverse childhood experiences and how those affect us across the lifespan. So, tell
me a little bit, the international adoption and reaching these children in, to say horrible conditions doesn't even begin to describe it. But you've started a TLC program, or you're involved with a TLC program addressing specifically this. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So interestingly, TLC is my day job in America, and that's working in the jail system with inmates and teaching them parenting.
Oh,
but also
okay.
I collaborate with local, in my county, I came up with this program called Trauma Lens Care, where I realized that police officers are not bound by HIPAA or FERPA, which is confidentiality with kids. So whenever that in my county, officers respond to the scene where a child has experienced something traumatic in the home, whether it's domestic violence, a drug bust, drug overdose, any of those things, they actually email me or call me and give me the child's name and information, and then I call the school system or the school that they're in, and we give the teacher a heads up that child has experienced trauma in their home. And so I just got to present at the CDC in Atlanta, Georgia a month ago on the program. So it's definitely starting to take off, and that's, I think, an exciting thing.
That is amazing. So can that happen in other communities? Is this something that other communities can pattern after?
That's the hope with the CDC. They want to pattern that. And so, because I believe, like the war on drugs, we have this war on drugs in the United States. And, working in the jail, what I see is inmates that experienced horrible neglect or horrible trauma as children, and they use drugs to medicate internal pain. And so I realized that when we're looking at the war on drugs, it's truly a war on childhood trauma. And so I am trying to help educate and support children that have trauma through the natural caregiver, which is a teacher. So when a parent cannot parent well because they are addicted or having issues, then we look to the next person who's naturally the person in their life that could be that caregiver or someone that can help them be successful, and that's teachers. So
wonderful. And when you also think that how traumatic for a child to have a parent be incarcerated, that's one thing right there.
Absolutely. And so, we also educate teachers on what's called Traumainformed classroom and how to respond to kids that have had trauma. You have to teach differently. And so, this is all stuff that we live in our home every day and understand because we live it out. And so TLC is my day job from home, and then we have a nonprofit called Lost Sparrows. We did not set out to start a nonprofit. We had friends come to us and say, "Hey, you're starting a nonprofit," and we laughed and said, "No, we're not.
We got
like,
enough
no,
on our plate."
Right. Well, we've already paid for an attorney and paid for everything. Pick a name. This is to help orphans in Eastern Europe. And it was just like, really, God drug us kicking and screaming into that one. And it has been incredible to see. 2 months ago, I was teaching in orphanages and in Bulgaria, Bosnia, and Russia. And so we believe with Lost Sparrows that we support family. And so we're helping support systems and processes and countries so that we stop the flow of babies and children into orphanages.
Mm-hmm.
We are not out to support and fund orphanages. We're out to support and fund family. And so that is going to be through equipping, through education, and needs, and providing for needs of families that have children so that they don't go into the orphanage in the first place.
Yes. Now, is this another thing that can be patterned across the country? This is not this is a national organization that you're putting together to train people to do international adoption. Yes, or help me understand.
It's not. So international adoption is really being shut down. The numbers have dramatically decreased in the last 10 years.
Why is that?
Really. It's such a convoluted, hard thing. A lot of it is our country is saying, we're not bringing in a bunch of orphans. That's, there's that part of it. But then also, I think we're moving away from that as a country. I think that, or as believers, And so, I get that a lot. Why would you adopt 2 children from an orphanage when there are children here that need homes? And so, it's not, to me, when it comes to the orphan crisis, there should be no borders. There should be no geographical lines. This is about children in need. And so what we're trying to do through Lost Sparrows is support foster care and existing infrastructure in that country to keep children out of orphanages and in their families.
So would that be to find families there in their same country to foster these children and train them there?
Absolutely. So, for example, one of the programs, we do a lot of education and training and supporting foster families. But we also support like a foster care closet where we're providing basic needs for foster families to actually keep, to be able to foster. Mm-hmm. We are also helping and collaborating with crisis pregnancy centers. Just as a interesting, sad fact, in Bosnia, it's cheaper to have an abortion than it is to have birth control. And so abortion is used as a means of birth control. And so we're helping with programs where we've hired women to create goods that we then sell here, and then the money goes straight to them so that they can have an income and support their children. So those are the kind of things that we try and do with Lost Sparrows, is just like full circle projects where we're helping people in their own country to support their children.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm looking at the clock here. I think we could go all week, Stacy, because every time you answer something, it sparks off about 16 more questions. We do need to take a short break. Visiting with Stacy Gagnon, just a remarkable woman, and Marlon Miller is here as well. Also a remarkable man with a remarkable family of their own as well. We're going to hear about Cowboy Joel and the Wild Wild West after these words. You're listening to Our Community.